have a special treat for you. We have Rita Oliver. Ms. Rita Oliver is here with us today. Rita is a financial coach. She is a wise woman. Literally every time I talk to her, there is some new billboard that sticks in my head that I take with me forever. Y'all are going to be so inspired and so motivated by this lady. And she's also probably going to give us a little bit of financial advice as we're going along in this, especially for us women who are out there. So please help me welcome Rita Oliver to the show.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
I am blessed that you are here. I am honored that you are here with me.
And I'm so honored to be with you. Yeah. I remember meeting you, gosh, what, 5-6 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And we just gelled.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We did. I remember, and I'm not going to say it because you got to say it, but I remember the thing you said that I'm like, I am a permanent fan of this woman. And you know what it is. You say it.
I said, I was speaking at a networking event, and I said that the man cannot be the plan.
That is right.
He
yes,
cannot
ma'am.
be the plan. So
the
we
man,
women.
I think you actually said ain't. I think we've
I probably
corrected
said
our
the man
grammar.
ain't the plan.
The
Yeah.
man ain't the plan.
He's not. He's not.
Yeah.
For so long for women, that has been it, that the man has been their plan. And out here, and granted, having a man in your life is a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing.
Wonderful
it's
thing.
a side benefit.
Yeah. Well, he can't be the plan, but maybe the side hustle.
See there? I knew it. I knew I'd get that out of you. I knew I'd get that out of you. Yeah, the man ain't the plan, but he can be the side hustle.
Yeah,
there
the
you
side
go.
hustle.
I do think that's important. I mean, we're going to get to all your
Yes,
wisdom.
we
I
are.
mean,
We
you
are.
have got so much wisdom built up in your years, and it's all in there. I know it is. I learned something new from you literally every time I talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Same with you. You taught me a lot when I was putting my book together.
Yes,
and talking about divorce and just the many facets of things I never thought about that I included in the book. And thank you so much for that.
Oh, yes, ma'am. So today, you are recently retired.
Yes, February 1st, 2022, I retired from the federal government with 36 years, 5 months, and 8 days of service.
And how many hours and how many minutes and seconds?
But, it was worth it.
Yeah,
It was worth
yeah.
it because I'm able to be here with you today because of that.
Right.
So I learned so much from my career, and that helps me every day.
Yes.
And, when I've talked to people about my career, it all started with a bookkeeping class in the 10th grade. And when I took that class, Michelle, I knew then I wanted to work with numbers and data. It clicked.
Yes.
And then, lo and behold, I was watching the TV show Dallas. And so I saw all of the women with the clothes, and I loved that. And then that led me to the library to do research, where I saw that accounting was, being a CPA was a growing field. This was in 1982, 82, 81. And so it said that Texas was going to be growing, and Texas was good for women. And it just clicked in my head that if I could get to Dallas, Texas, that I would be okay. I would be
Yes.
fine. I would get everything that I wanted.
So what are you doing with yourself post-retirement?
Well, post-retirement, definitely relaxing more. As I tell people, my day is my day. So it's whatever I want to do or whatever I don't want to do. Now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, I go work out with my trainer. So to keep fit, because I want to be here, because I got to be here to enjoy the retirement.
Yes, ma'am.
So staying healthy is part of it. Then the other part of the day is building and learning more to build the business strategies, options, and solutions. And one of the things that I did, I guess starting in late March or February, is I took a class with a coach out in California, and he is in the financial industry. And he had a class for financial coaches, and he wanted to offer this class free because he wanted to refine it. So he had an intimate group of coaches each week to talk to us and help us to build our ideal financial coaching business.
Yes.
And what I learned from him is that he asked 4 questions, Michelle, and it really made me go back and look at what I had done since I opened the business in 2016. He said, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? how do you solve it, and why are you the person to solve it?
Yes.
So I went back and looked at my videos. I looked at people that had talked to me because I'm an auditor. That was my career in the government. So taking notes and collecting data and having information is my thing. So I went back and I looked through all of that. And when I got back to class that next week, because we had to have that answer. And I told him, I said, when I look at what I have done, who I was talking to, all my live streams, posts, I said, I'm really focused on women not retiring broke.
Yes.
He said, okay. And he said, wow. He said, and that is a problem, Rita. And I said, yeah. I said, I worked for the federal government, made a great salary. I said, 6 figures from where I was from in Macon, Mississippi was not even thought about. I said, and I made more than that. I said, but with those 6 figures, I was broke. So for a good segment of my life, I was broke. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I was making over $100,000 a year before I was 30 years old. I said, I had a house at 27. And I said, but, sir, I am a shopper.
Dallas fashion.
Yeah, there used to be a billboard here in Dallas that said, Dallas shopping is not for amateurs. And that is the truth. It's not.
That's right.
And so, I told him, I said, I went through probably a period in my life, at least 2 years or so. I said, where after I paid everything, I had $75 for 2 weeks to make it to the next paycheck. And I said, and I didn't call my parents to get any money. And that, Michelle, was a really, really low point for me, because then I could only go to work and come home. Yeah. But it taught me that I had to, I guess I did a AAA on myself, just like AAA would tow your car in. I had to do a AAA. I had to become aware that I was a problem. I had to acknowledge the problem, and I had to get accountability. So I had to do a AAA on myself.
Aware, acknowledge, and accountability.
Yes, because I wasn't accountable. Yeah. I was not really aware because I was just moving money here, doing this, and then I never acknowledged that I was doing something wrong. I wasn't thinking about tomorrow. It was just today. And part of that comes from my rearing when you don't have a lot of money, and I'm just a fashion person, right. And accessories and all. Looking good is just part of the look for me.
That's what you do. So right now you're focused on financial coaching for women to help them not retire broke. I love that. I love that. And I do feel like that's what you have been doing for the last several years. But I like that you're really refining that and honing it down to focus on that specific demographic group. Yes. And help, because there is a problem. There is a problem.
It is. It's a major problem. Yes. The focus I'm going with it, Michelle, and I guess my tagline with it, so to speak, and I probably need to talk to someone in marketing, is that women, we've got to take the lead. And the lead stands for, the L is leverage, is that we got to harness our power and we got to maximize our financial resources. Yes. The E is execute, that we got to get a plan. We just can't haphazardly do it day to day, but have that visionary, that outlook out there beyond the 2 weeks and beyond the month. Yeah. To know where we want to go.
Look past your paycheck.
Exactly. Yeah. And we got to have action, that we've got to do the task in the plan to get there. And D is the destination, which is financial freedom.
And is this going to be your third book, Women Take the Lead?
I hadn't thought about that, Michelle.
Because we hadn't even got to your second book.
No, I hadn't thought about it. But it just came to my, as I was doing my research about it and really focusing in on women and retirement and looking at the demographics. 331 million people in America, 166 million are women. So we are leading in population, but we're not leading with money. And we can lead with money because so much has changed from when I entered the workforce in the 80s for women. You hardly saw a woman manager. Right. Definitely didn't see a woman executive. Right. So now you see women at CEOs, chairman of the board, Supreme Court Justice, Vice President. We are taking the lead, and we are getting in the positions, but we need to also get in a better position with the money as well. Then we can lead and we can then create our own plan, and the
Yes.
man can fit in the plan.
There you go. Well, let's go all the way
Okay.
back to Georgia, right?
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Let's
Mississippi.
go all the way back to
Okay.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
And talk about Rita growing up. Tell me about your family life.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Macon, Mississippi.
Yes.
Not
There's also a Macon, Georgia, right?
There's
That's
a
why.
Macon,
That's why
Georgia.
I was confused.
Yes, no problem. And I've been to Macon, Georgia. I had to go there on an audit. So, yes, I've been there. But Macon, Mississippi. So, it was 5 children, 3 girls, 2 boys, my parents. And we lived in Macon, Mississippi, out in the country, 11 miles from town. So, my dad was a farmer, but he also worked for Fruit of the Loom in Aliceville, Alabama. And my mom was an assistant teacher. So, basically, our rearing definitely focused on education. They pushed that solely. I mean, my mom even went back to school, Michelle, gosh, after she had my baby sister in her 40s, I think 2 years, maybe 3, 4 years later, she went back and got her associate's degree going to school at night. So, and my father was a big supporter of that. And then for education, because he didn't get to finish high school, he got drafted to go to Korea.
Yeah.
So he never finished high school. But they pushed us for education. And pushed us that, they wanted it to be for us to have it better than them. I'm a child of the 60s. I was born in 65. So, they came through born in the 30s and the 50s, where for black people, the major or great job was being a teacher.
Yes.
An educator. So my mom
Was that for women or for men too?
Men too as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
Yeah, they were in the school system as the principal, and then of course women were teachers. Of course, people worked in the cafeteria, but education was kind of like an educator was really a status symbol in the South in the black community, big throughout the South. Because if you look at the civil rights movement, a lot of them were educators.
Right.
So that was the big thing. They had gone to some of the historically black colleges. Parents didn't go to college. My mom went later. But they pushed education, that they wanted us to have that education because they felt that was the X factor. That factor would then get us through the door of where we needed to be,
Yes.
of where they wanted to go. Whatever we thought we wanted to do, they were supporting it. But they wanted us to get that 4-year college education. They wanted you to do great in school and get that 4-year education. So my older sister went to school in Ohio. So because we had family there.
Yes.
And then my brother BJ, he went to Mississippi State. Then I followed him there, and my sister Benita did. Now my older brother William, he went to Jackson State for a semester, and that wasn't him because he was an entrepreneur at 14. He was farming. So he wanted to stay there, and he did that until he passed away.
Farming.
Yes. So
you went to Mississippi State.
yes, Hale State Bulldogs. Yeah.
and majored in accounting.
I majored in accounting. I started there, Michelle, and then I took an intermediate class, and I said, "Oh no, this is not gonna do it. I got to get something else here because I can't go through any more of this." So I switched over to banking and finance,
Gotcha.
which was perfect,
Yeah.
because it was all about data analysis and numbers. Back to my bookkeeping. The accounting was the bookkeeping, because in accounting, you got to get the debit and the credit right. See, in finance, you got a whole lot of scenarios you
Yeah.
can run through.
Right.
And I like that
Yes.
because that helped me to develop my critical thinking skills and seeing stuff a different way and not seeing it one way for people. It started there. So I went over into banking and finance, and I got to take a lot of financial analysis classes, management analysis. I still had to do accounting, cost accounting, but that was fine.
Right.
But I got to really create and build.
Yeah. So when you were a young woman,
Mm-hmm.
you went through a really tough time.
The young woman when I started the career.
Yes,
College was fine.
Yeah.
But when I started the career, because I did a co-op, and Mississippi State had a co-op program. So I came here in 1985. Basically, my brother brought me here with my clothes and a rollaway bed. And so I came here, started the career, worked as an evaluator. And then when I finished the semester, they said, "We love your work. We are making you a full-fledged offer now when you graduate." So then, fast forward, I come back in 1988 and start the career and start working. And so I get to a point on a project where I made a mistake, okay? And that mistake, then people, because at that time, it definitely wasn't a lot of black women there. So the mistake just was blown out of proportion. But being a young person, also from Mississippi, where I was socialized not to ask too many questions, but ask enough questions. And so it just, and then, it was a fact of me maybe not understanding, and then me being too afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because the things that I had heard people say is that, being in the workplace, being black, you got to have it. So you better not ask any questions. So I didn't. But, that happened. I got over it. But the other thing that happened, Michelle, is that at the same time that was happening, I got diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Oh my goodness. How old were you when that happened?
So what, that was 1985. So what, 2021? Yeah, brain tumor.
Wow. And you're in a strange town.
I'm in a strange town. Now, what saved me was that my brother's wife, her aunt lived here.
Okay.
So I lived with them.
Okay.
Because we didn't know anybody in Dallas when I came out here.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, that's your sister-in-law?" She said, "Well, that's like family to us." And she was. She was like family. She's the one that introduced me to Neiman Marcus. So
Okay, so you're 20 or 21. You're in a new career.
Yeah.
You're working really hard.
I make a mistake, and I find out I have a brain tumor.
That and I assume that was just.
Oh, the brain tumor was devastating.
Yeah.
Because I had been healthy all my life, and then the doctor tells me that, and I'm thinking, what? A brain tumor? How could this be?
Right.
What did I do here? Then, because what happened is that there was another female problem that really diagnosed the brain tumor. So I had where my period had stopped. It stopped in college. Well, I thought it was stress, Michelle.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sexually active, so I went on with life.
You weren't really worried about it.
No, my goal was graduate and start working, because I knew I wanted my career, I wanted money, I wanted to be safe, I wanted to be able to take care of myself. So then when the brain tumor happened, that was a total shock, because people in my family didn't go to the hospital.
Right.
And definitely didn't have any surgery, except for people going to the hospital to have a baby.
Tell me a little bit about that, because you said in your family you didn't go to the hospital, you didn't have surgeries. Why was that?
I think it was because there was just in the culture, people took care of themselves. Unless it was just a dire emergency, that was just rare. Even for a cold or flu, my mother took care of that. So it was just, nobody went to the hospital. No.
You had a distrust of doctors.
Probably so. Oh, yeah. Where we live, definitely so. Because so many people we knew that were much sicker after they went to the doctor. And of course, you just have, it's still kind of the same way in America, in rural America, with rural health care. You have very few doctors. You have a doctor that may come into town for 1 or 2 days of the week, and that's just it. So that probably led to it as well. Yeah.
How terrifying was it then to have these physical issues going on, have this brain tumor, and have to go to the doctor when you didn't trust the doctors?
It was very terrifying, but the thing was is that I had these migraine headaches that was so severe. And my godmother said, "You are in your 20s." She said, "Not having a period, a menstrual cycle is just not normal." Here in Dallas, she did it. She said, "That's not normal." She said, "So we're going to go to," because her daughter had fibroid tumors. She said, "We're going to her gynecologist and we're going to find out what's wrong." She said, "Because that's not natural for a girl your age." She said, no way. So we went to him, and he was able to diagnose that I had the tumor, because he did all his other tests. He had me to do an MRI. He came back and he said, "We see a mass on that gland." So he referred me to a neurologist here in Medical City.
Yeah.
And so neurologist was just a fantastic guy, because when he called me, Michelle, and to talk to me, he said, "Dr. Ivy has referred you. I have your folder." He said, "I see the MRI." He said, "There is a huge mass on the gland." He said, "And we're..."
When you say the gland,
the pituitary.
Yeah.
So if you cut my face off, right here is sitting. That's the
Oh, my
pituitary. You know,
word.
that's our hormones. That's everything.
Right. So that was affecting your female hormones then.
Exactly. Cut it off. It said I was pregnant.
Oh, my
It was
goodness.
saying I was pregnant. Yeah, because we all have, not to get too technical, men and women have a hormone prolactin.
Yeah.
For women, when you everybody runs about 25, but when you get pregnant, it's elevated. So when they ran mine, it was, and I'll never forget the number. It was 2,840.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
so, and I wasn't pregnant. So he said,
Right.
this just can't be.
Yeah.
And so he said it's either thyroid or it's a pituitary brain tumor. So he ran the MRI, called me, and he said it's a pituitary brain tumor. This was the gynecologist. He said, I'm referring you to the neurologist. He said, because my work has ended here.
Yeah.
And so when Dr. Lazar, the neurologist here in Dallas, he called me and he said, I see your films. I said, yeah. And he said, it's a huge mass. He said, we have to remove it. And
you said,
and I said, oh no, you not. I said, oh hell no, you're not removing nothing. He said, well, he said, hold on. He said, let me say something to you. He said, you are afraid because you don't have enough information. And, I got quiet and I said, yeah. He said, so I'm going to send you some information. He said, I see you're an auditor. He said, so you like information, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. He said, I'm going to send you information. You come and see me in 2 weeks. And he said, you're going to have a test when you get here on the information. And I said, well, okay, then, sure. So he sent it, Michelle, and very detailed, that explained it, how it happens, even had a picture of the surgery. So all of that helped me.
yeah.
So I go to see him, and
And do you think that was, and I know the answer to this
yeah.
already, but do you think that was instructive kind of for you, like in how you approach problems for the rest of your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because what I learned from that, he said it. He said, you don't have enough information. That's why you're afraid. That's why you have fear. And what I learned from that is when I get information now, and I got information, I ain't scared of nobody or anything. I'm not. Because I think that's what has happened. So in the past, we didn't have the information. But today, technology has given everybody
We
the
have an
information.
overload of
Oh,
information.
overload.
Yeah.
So, but for me, that then led me in my career, is that as long as I had the information,
Yeah.
I was fine. Plus, being an auditor, I knew how to dig for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he sends you the information and you read it.
Yeah. I read it cover to cover.
And but before he sent you that information, I mean, you were really like seriously thinking about not having this
Oh, absolutely
surgery.
not. No, we're going to do that. I mean, like I told you, I came from where people may have gone to the hospital to have a baby, but brain surgery? Absolutely not. I mean, because I'm thinking, how is he going to do this? I'm going to lose my hair. He got a cut in here. What's going to happen? How's this going to go down? So there was no way I was going to do it. No.
And did he tell you like you could probably die?
No, it wasn't I was going to die. I go blind. He said, because when I look at this tumor, he said it has stretched your optic nerves. He said, your optic nerves are like this. He said, they lay flat. He said, but the tumor has made them do this. He said, they can't do that. He said, so if you don't get it removed, you are going to go blind.
And you were like, go blind, have surgery. I don't know
can't
about
see the
I don't know
clothes
about
no more.
this. Yeah. Yeah, you can't go shopping.
I can't go shopping.
Can't see the
so
numbers.
the decision was made.
Yeah.
And he assured me, he said, I have done surgery on people older than you and your age. He said, you're very young. He said, you'll bounce back from this in no time. He said, I see probably 2 months. He said, that you need to be off work. He said, to really rest. He said, and after that, you gradually get back into it. He said, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And he was true, because what's today? This is 2022, 1988, 34-year post-op. He was absolutely
You did that
right.
math so fast.
I tell you, I'm numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So post-op brain tumor patient, and truly blessed. And, I would go see him once a year, and then now it's every 5, every 10 or whatever. So I have been doing great from it.
Yeah.
But, I was afraid, but I didn't have information. Brain, I mean, you think about it, Michelle, brain surgery? Who wants to do that? Who was going to do that?
Right.
But when I saw how it happened, because what they did, even in the 80s, is that they went up through my nasal cavity to get it. So, before I'm thinking they're going to cut my head off,
Right.
take my hair off.
Right.
But they went up through my nasal cavity, got it, and done.
Yeah. How long were you kind of out of commission with that?
It happened in May 25th. And so I think I went back to work maybe after Labor Day. So he, because you had to rest. Because the first week, after I got out of the hospital, the first week I had to just stay in the bed the whole time except to go to the bathroom. Couldn't shower or anything like that because, no water to hit my head
Yes.
because, all of that.
Yeah.
But probably, guess I was back at work by Labor Day.
Yeah.
As he said, I went to see him, during the time I was off. And, and he would do the MRI to see how I was healing. And then I think maybe the end of that year, we did another MRI, and he said everything is fine.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
What a blessing.
Oh, true blessing.
Yeah,
True blessing,
yeah.
yeah.
So at the same time that you have this brain tumor and this problem, you had also made a mistake at work.
Yeah, I had made the mistake at work. So when I went back to work in September, and, when I was starting to get ready to go back to work, I revisited that myself. And so I said, okay, so I got to go in here. I got to turn it around because this is reputation. And I just said, okay, I'm going to get it right. I got to go beyond my limits. And I'm going to go beyond my limits.
What kind of pressure did you feel like as a Black woman in the 80s, in that situation where there weren't a lot of people like you in your job?
Well, I felt that, I knew people had been talking about it, okay, and, I realized now people can just blow the littlest things out of proportion for no reason. But I just felt like I was on display. Was I going to keep my job? So, but I decided to go beyond my limits, and I did.
Did you feel like you were held to a higher standard than other people, maybe a white man in your position?
Oh, absolutely. I think just culturally that's there. And I think culturally just for women in general, we are held to a higher position. So, and definitely for me in that. But, Michelle, I just said, okay, I know the stock I'm from, Oliver stock, and we deliver.
Yeah. And so you just over-delivered.
Oh, did.
All
Over-delivered. And then that built my work ethic. And I stayed there 12 years. Then I went over to Postal OIG where I retired from and, got promoted to an audit director, held that position for 15 years for a brand new area.
For anybody that doesn't know, what is Postal OIG?
That is the Postal Service Office of Inspector General.
There you go.
It is the audit organization for the Postal Service. So we do audits internally for the Postal Service.
Yes.
So I had the largest area, all of the delivery operations, the vehicle operations, and the retail. So that's everything for the stores, people that bring you your mail to the mailbox, and then the support services of vehicle maintenance to keep the vehicles running.
Gotcha.
So I had the three largest cost centers, and was a brand new area that had people had kind of dabbled in it, but nobody had done anything permanently. So I got it and was able to do it permanently. And I was the only director there for 15 years. So with the help of my staff and the audit managers and that work ethic of going beyond my limits because I knew how to do it and gathering information. Because when I initially got in the job, it was a very complex subject. Don't want to go into it. But they had a national meeting here in Dallas. And so I went there and started meeting people and I went in their training sessions they had for their staff. And I learned how it worked. And then I transferred that knowledge to my staff. And then I kept training. My staff and I kept training. We kept learning. So that fear was never there because I had the information.
Right.
And so we built it to a very successful directorate area within that organization. And I just left it in 2022, February 1st.
And as you excelled in your job in that position, I mean, you were the first African-American female, the first Black female to
hold
achieve,
that job, to hold
those
for
jobs.
that directorate. There was one, maybe two other Black females. They were in Washington, D.C. But for that particular one, I had it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was tough doing it. I learned a lot. I got stretched a lot. I really learned about two things there in that job: political capital and building alliances. And so that helped me a lot.
So talk about that political capital.
The political capital was more so of the people that I needed to see internally and externally. Of that, I was always fair with them. I was always honest with them, and then I would, if I needed to, if there was something difficult, Michelle, about a report information, because of the relationships I had built with them, the fairness I had shown in the reports, because I would show because usually in audit reports we come for the negative, but I would show the balance, the positive and the negative. So that would help a lot with them. So then when there was a difficult situation, a difficult report where we just had disagreement, I was able to use that in the relationship and bringing all of them together internally and externally so we could work through it.
Don't you think that those 2 points of learning for you really translate to anybody in the business environment?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, the political capital and the building alliances, the relationships. I mean, that can translate to any industry, any job.
Entrepreneur. For an entrepreneur. Absolutely. Because, a lot of people think that you do it by yourself. You really don't. There are a lot of people along the way supporting you. And then when you get into a position, whether you're the entrepreneur, the business owner, like I am now, or the audit director, you have got to build relationships and understand you are not the smartest person in the room. You need other people in that room that can help you, because you may see it this way or think it this way, and you have that vision, but still when you bring other people in and give you some other ideas, they give you that fresh eye, objective eye, it can really make your vision and better and getting you to the destination. And that's what I learned.
So what made you decide that you wanted to be a financial coach and specifically coach women that were kind of heading into the chapter of life that you were heading toward?
Well, basically, Michelle, I'm a woman, number one.
Glad we got that established.
I'm a woman, number one. What made me want to do it was my story. I told you it's $75 every 2 weeks. So then I turned that around, got a little bit better. And then when I bought my second house, I had a very dear friend that was a retirement counselor in the federal government. And so she said, well, Rita, I'm that's glad for you in the house. She said, but I want you to know this. She said, I have checked many people out for retirement. She said, and they've come back to work because they couldn't pay their bills. And she said, so I looked at that and I told my husband that we got to get out of debt, if we're going to retire, okay. And so I said, okay. And she said, we're paying our house off. We're doing this bi-weekly plan, Rita. So I researched it, Michelle, and I got on it.
And did she tell you had to spend less at Neiman's?
No, she didn't say anything about that. She did say you got to get out of debt. She did say that. So, but that didn't stop me, because, Michelle, when it comes to it for me with stuff, and I'm a little bit better now. Pretty much if I see it, and I think I can afford it and I can get it, I usually work that way. I go get the information on it and I try to work it to get it. But she told me about that. And so I got on that bi-weekly plan. And so I got my house paid for. So 2007 to 2011 was that debt payoff time for me. So getting rid of the credit card debt, I had the 5 figures and it didn't start with a 1, okay? That's what we're talking about here. And paid off the car. And then 2011, I paid off the house bi-weekly. So I had refinanced in 2005, put myself on a 10-year note. And I paid it in 60 months like a car. So got rid of that. And then I started saving because I was reading and researching more, about saving with money, investing, all of that. And I was in my job's 401k. And the thing about it, too, that I want to say now for women is I was totally to the hilt with it, paying bills and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I was always saving a little bit of money in the latter part, probably toward 2010. I was putting $400 every 2 weeks in my emergency fund, and I was putting $700 every 2 weeks in my 401k.
So I want you to tell people out there, what is the biweekly plan?
Okay, so the biweekly mortgage is basically where you pay your mortgage twice a month. They take your payment and cut it in half, and you pay it twice a month. And you end up making an extra payment a year. And so that accelerates your loan, and also you pay less interest,
Right.
and you pay the principal much faster. Then what I did, Michelle, is that I looked at the loan. I got a spreadsheet from Microsoft somewhere, and then I started looking at if I start to put extra money on the biweekly.
Right.
And so I did that because then I was doing it when I initially refinanced in 2005. And then so I came back in the third year and I started looking. I had gotten out of credit card debt and I said, okay, if I stop all the layaways at TJ Maxx and Marshalls, I can really pay this house off.
There you go. There you
So,
go.
I'm true to
Yeah.
my shopping.
Yeah.
So I cut that out and I made a commitment. I did this. I decided, I took an action, and I committed. I said, I'm going to do $200 every 6 months extra on this principal because I can get this house paid for. I can make this short-term sacrifice because I knew then if I had the largest debt paid for, I would be fine.
Yes.
I'd be fine when I got time for me to retire.
Yes.
So I was able to do that. And and in my last year paying that house off, because my mortgage was $1,800 for the month, I was paying $1,800 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and it was really dropping it down.
Right.
And so and what I learned from that lesson was this: by paying that off, and I had the credit cards were paid for, and the car was paid for, and so I had about $900 every 2 weeks. And I learned then you don't need a lot of money to live on.
That's right.
You really don't.
We need a lot less than we think.
We need a lot less than we think. That's living on less than you earn right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that $900 was able to feed me, put the gas in the car, entertainment, all of that. It's about, it's not that people don't make enough money. It's just that we need to reprioritize our spending. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
we really need to do.
That's right. So you've written your first book. Whenever you and I first met, you were writing your first book. So tell us about your first book.
When we first met, that statement I made was really leading to the book, and I didn't know it. Okay?
Yeah.
And what happened is I coached a couple of couples, and I just noticed that energy around money, that, stuff was coming out of the woodwork that people didn't know about. The husband didn't know about it. The wife didn't know about it. And so then, they wanted me to talk about that stuff. And, I had to tell them I do the money. I don't referee any relationships. I don't know about that. And so I kept seeing it. And then I went to an industry training, and they said that people said they could get over cheating, but they couldn't get over any money. And I thought people could get over cheating, but you can't get over no money. You can go make some more money. So I decided, I just started making notes and typing and writing about it. And then I woke up on one morning in September and read my scripture. And it was, gosh, I've forgotten that. It's in the book. But it was a scripture about that everything will be disclosed and the truth will be revealed. Mark 4:23, I think that's what it is. And when I read that, Michelle, I said, okay, it's time to write the book.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's time to write the book.
And the name of the book is?
Disclose Before You Disrobe.
That's
Financial Necessities Before You Say I Do and After. So, but I knew the money part. And so you helped me to do the book too, because I had that summit on Facebook, and I wanted to talk about the legal part, prenups, premarital agreements, because I included all that in the book.
Yes.
And then I brought in people, a minister, another financial coach. I brought in people who had gone through it in a second marriage or the first marriage, so I could learn more about it because I knew the money part of what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it that morning when I woke up and I read that scripture, I then took out a piece of paper and I outlined the 7 chapters, what the topics would be. And those are the chapters in the book.
And it was just given to you right
It
then.
was given to me right then and there.
And then you're working on your second, well, you had a workbook that went with it. But
Yes,
you're
I did.
working on your second substantive book now, right?
Michelle, I hadn't started it. Maybe it's the women who lead and how we lead with money. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because lead came to me, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Well, and the last time you and I talked, you had another possible book in there about an MBA.
Oh, my tagline, Mindset, Behavior, and Action, MBA with money, which is what we all need is, because it is about mindset. I came from a place of my parents had joint checking accounts. Now, I heard some of their discussions about money. They had their disagreements about it, but they kept their money together. And today I hear people that say, well, we put this in an account, he got this, he got this, he got this, and nobody knows what's going on. And here they had a little bit of money, but they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
They were able to raise 5 kids, 4 went to college, and we all were successful in all that we did. And today people are making, $200,000-$300,000, even more than that. And what I'm surprised about at that is that people are married and doing that, and they don't have any money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but what I know is this: disclose will always be around, because marriage and money will always be a topic.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, fun questions. What's your favorite place to shop now?
Well, I do it online. So it's 2 places. It's Net-a-Porter and it's Matches Fashion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Here lately, I've gotten to really where I shop online most of
yeah.
the time. I'm not even before the pandemic, I wasn't a big shopper in person. I'm a little impatient for that.
Yeah. Well, now with online, because, that's what got me into trouble between 2000 and 2005 before I refinanced my house, is that, no, after that, after I paid the house off, what got me into trouble was e-commerce. A
Yep.
little bit, but I had the cash. But something said to me is that you need to hold on to this money because you got to retire. So that's when I hired a coach, and that's how I got into financial coaching.
Yeah.
Because I went to a coach, and she helped me. I wanted to know, could I retire early, or that when I did retire, would I be okay? And I
Right.
wanted to know, Michelle, about starting a business.
So, what would be the piece of advice that you would give a young Black woman in the South growing up today?
I would tell her today to take advantage of every education or training opportunity to learn something new that she doesn't know, whether she likes it or not, but you know about it. Also, too, I would tell her you now have the world in front of you on your telephone or a laptop, and you need to go out there and explore the world. You need to find out, what do you like, what clicks with you in your mind, what do you enjoy that you can do, and that you do it so well that it makes you happy, and also too that people can see that you are the authority or expert in it. And so I'd also tell her that as you come into money, it's fine to enjoy and get the nice stuff, because I love it all too. But you really got to start putting money back, because at your age, you can take a little bit of money and you got a whole lot of time to build a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell
Yeah.
her.
And the man ain't the plan.
No, he ain't the plan. You can have him as a side hustle, but he ain't the plan.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining me on my show. I just, you are so full of so much advice that women need out there. So that's our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed Rita Oliver, my friend and my inspiration. She doesn't even know how much she has helped me personally really focus myself and my financial plan. And I think, I will always take away from Rita the first thing I ever learned from her, which is the man cannot be the plan. Thank you all.